students, welcome to the program. The topic selected for this lecture is factors predisposing an individual to stress. The objectives set for this lecture are to have a brief outlook on what are the various factors predisposing an individual to stress as per research literature. To know about the individual factors predisposing an individual to stress, then to know about the organizational factors predisposing an individual to stress, to know about the individual differences factors predisposing an individual to stress, to know about the environmental factors that predisposing an individual to stress. There is a vast body of research literature on the impact of social and economic factors on physical and mental health problems. In general, these studies have demonstrated that individuals' social locations in society in terms of their social statuses and social roles are important determinants of both the kinds of stressors to which they are exposed and the level of exposure that they experience. Indeed, one of the most important contributions of the sociology of mental health has been to demonstrate conclusively that stressors are not experienced randomly by individuals, but rather that there is a social distribution of stressors. This perspective has emerged out of a number of theoretical and empirical developments. Our reaction to stressors is heavily based on our individual makeup. Two people can react very differently to the same stressor. Our reactions depend on number of factors. The various factors predisposing an individual to stress can be categorized broadly into four types. Number first, individual factors. Our stress level will differ based on our individual factors, personality, and how we respond to situations. Some people let everything roll off their back. To them, work stresses and life stresses are just minor bumps in the road. Others literally worry themselves sick. The first of three sources of stress is individual. Individuals might experience stressful commutes to work or a stressful couple of weeks helping at a work event. But those kinds of temporary individual stressors are not what we are looking at here. We are looking for a deeper, longer term stress. Some of the individual factors causing stress include family stress, including marriages that are ending, issues with children, and ailing parents. These are stressful situations that an employee really can't leave at home when he or she comes to work. Then financial stress, like the inability to pay bills or an unexpected new demands on a person's cash flow, might also be an issue that disturbs an employee's time at work. Individual personality. Finally, an individual's own personality might actually contribute to his or her stress. People's dispositions, how they perceive things as negative or positive, can be a factor in each person's stress as well. Some other factors related to individual's personality include fear and uncertainty. When one regularly hears about the threat of terrorist attacks, global warming, and toxic chemicals on the news, it can cause one to feel stressed, especially because one feels like they have no control over these events. And even though disasters are typically very rare events, Their vivid coverage in the media may make them seem as if they are more likely to occur than they really are. Fears can also hit closer to home, such as being worried that we won't finish a project to work or won't have enough money to pay our bills this month. Next one is the attitudes and perceptions. How we view the world or particular situation can determine whether it causes stress. For example, if our television set is stolen and we take the attitude, it's okay, my insurance company will pay for a new one, we'll be far less stressed than if we think my TV is gone and I will never get it back. What if the thieves come back to my house to steal it again? Similarly, people who feel like they are doing a good job at work will be less stressed out by a big upcoming project than those who worry that they are incompetent. Next is the unrealistic expectations. No one is perfect. If we expect to do everything right all the time, we are destined to feel stressed when things don't go as expected. The next one is change. Any major life change can be stressful. Even a happy event like a wedding or a job promotion. More unpleasant events such as a divorce, major financial setback, or death in the family can be significant sources of stress. Next one is the positive thinking. Probably the most widely recognized example of stress-forming attitude is the cup half empty, cup half full phenomena. Given more situations, one person will look at what has happened and see the bad, whereas another person will look at the same situation and see the good. Having a positive attitude is associated with experiencing less stress in your life. The next one is perfectionism. Perfectionists are typically high achievers with high expectations and ideals. These expectations are often applied to others as well as themselves. And as a result, perfectionists often find the work of other people to be lacking. This may lead them to feel that if you want a job done properly, you should do it yourself. This attitude is associated with higher level of stress. And this was recognized by Witz Elsbrunch, Emily Ruzzi, Grossbohr, and Allert in 2007. Next one is the yes man approach. Many people find it difficult to say no, even when they are agreeing to obligations that they do not have time for. This is a sure recipe for stress. Yes, people need to learn what they can realistically cope with. And they also need to learn how to say no. Then the individual background. The background of the individual is thought to have an impact on the way in which they cope with stress. Some background related factors include genetic factors, childhood relationships, cultural values and heritage, family values, past experiences and trauma, physical and mental health, etc. Then the personality traits. One of the characteristics that is associated with a high level of stress is the type A personality. Friedman and Roseman in 1974, as has been cited in research by Piney in 2005. The type A personality profile was developed to identify risk factors for coronary heart disease. Assertiveness is another one. Another personality trait which is associated with stress is a person's assertiveness or lack of assertiveness. When a person lacks assertiveness, they are likely to allow external parties to make choices for them, which they may not be happy with. This lack of self-respect causes a frequent gap between what is desired and what occurs and may be a significant contributor to stress. This is the research given by Mayo Clinic in 2007. The next factor is self-image. 4 aspects of an individual's self-image contribute to one's ability to deal with stress. First, the self-concept. Self-concept is the sum total of a being's knowledge and understanding of his or her self. Self-esteem, the level of respect and love that an individual has for themselves. Self-actualization, the desire to realize one's full potential or to maximize one's capabilities. Self-efficacy, the perceived capabilities to handle problems and overcome hardships. The most significant factor of the 4 is self-efficacy. If you look at problems as an opportunity to overcome adversity and to gain experience, then you will experience minimum stress. However, self-efficacy is built on a base of self-concept, self-esteem, and self-actualization. If you are not aware of your strengths and weaknesses, and if you don't have the desire to push yourself, then you are unlikely to be able to achieve your goals. Another one comes the locus of control. The idea of a locus of control relates to the degree of control that an individual perceives that they have over their environment. As per Rotter in 1966, and research has been cited by Pine in 2005. If the individual believes that they have control and choice in their life, they are said to have an external locus of control. If they believe that others are in control of their lives, then they are said to have an external locus of control. Perceived control is related to stress, as per the European Agency Safety and Health at Work 2000. If an individual has an external locus of control, they are more likely to become stressed. Another one is social networks. There is plenty of research showing that people with good supportive social networks are happier, healthier, and more able to cope with stress, as per Simon in 2007. A study of nearly 3,000 Dutch people between the age of 55 and 85 found that high and even moderate amounts of emotional support cut the risk of dying prematurely in half. The next one is the organizational stress or the organizational factors. There is a plethora of organizational sources of stress. These include task and role demands, interpersonal demands, organizational structure, leadership organizational life stages. The first one, task or role demands. These are factors related to a person's role at work, including the design of a person's job or working conditions. A stressful task demands might be a detailed weekly presentation to the company's senior team. A stressful role demand might be where a person is expected to achieve more in a set amount of time than is possible. Role ambiguity. The first role process variable to be discussed here is role ambiguity. When individuals have inadequate information concerning their roles, they experience role ambiguity. Uncertainty over job definition takes many forms, including not knowing expectations for performance, not knowing how to meet those expectations, and not knowing the consequences of the behavior. Role ambiguity is particularly strong among managerial jobs where role definitions and task specializations lack clarity. For example, the manager of accounts payable may not be sure of the quantity and quality standards for her department. The uncertainty of the absolute level of these two performance standards or their relative importance to each other makes predicting outcomes such as performance, evaluation, salary increase or promotion opportunities equally difficult. All of this contributes to increased stress for the manager. In other words, role ambiguity has far-reaching consequences beyond experience stress, including employees' turnover and absenteeism, poor coordination and utilization of the human resources, and increased operating cost because of inefficiency. Role conflict. The second role-related factor in stress is role conflict. This may be defined as the simultaneous occurrence of two or more sets of pressures, or expectations compliance with one would make it difficult to comply with the other. In other words, role conflict occurs when an employee is placed in a situation where contradictory demands are placed upon her. For instance, a factory worker may find himself in a situation where the supervisor is demanding greater output, yet the work group is demanding a restriction of output. Similarly, a secretary who reports to several supervisors may face a conflict over whose work to do first. Then role overload and underutilization. Finally, in addition to role ambiguity and conflict, a third aspect of role process has also been found to represent an important influence on experience stress, namely the extent to which employees feel either overloaded or underutilized in their job responsibilities. Role overload is a condition in which individuals feel they are being asked to do more than time or ability permits. Individuals often experience role overload as a conflict between quantity and quality of performance. Overload can be visualized as a quantum ranging from too little to do too much to do. Similarly, the concept of role underutilization should also be acknowledged as a source of experience stress. Role underutilization occurs when employees are allowed to use only a few of their skills and abilities, even though they are required to make heavy use of them. The most prevalent characteristic of role underutilization is monotony. When the workers perform the same routine task or set of tasks over and over, then other situations that make for underutilization include total dependency on machines for determining work pace and sustained positional or postural constraints. The next one is the interpersonal demands. These are stressors created by co-workers. Perhaps an employee is experiencing ongoing conflict with a co-worker he or she is expected to collaborate closely with, or maybe employees are experiencing a lack of social support in their roles. The next one is organizational structure. This refers to the level of differentiation within an organization, the degree of rules and regulations, and where decisions are made. If employees are unable to participate in the decisions that affect them, they may experience stress. Organizational leadership. This refers to the organization's style of leadership, particularly the managerial style, its senior executives. Leaders can create an environment of tension, fear and anxiety, and can exert unrealistic pressures and control. If employees are afraid they will be fired for not living up to the leadership standards, this can definitely be a source of stress. Then the organizational life stage. An organization goes through a cycle of stages: birth, growth, maturity, and then decline. For employees, the birth and decline of an organization can be particularly stressful, as those stages tend to be filled with heavy workloads and a level of uncertainty about the future. Then comes the individual differences. Those are the sources of stress but differences within an individual determine whether that stress will be positive or negative. Those individual differences include perception, occupational differences, job experience, social support, self-efficacy, belief in locus of control, and hostility. Let's learn them one by one. Perception. This is what moderates the individual's relationship to the stressor. For instance, one person might see a potential layoff as a stressful situation, while another person might see that same layoff as an opportunity for a nice severance package and the opportunity to start a new business. Then occupational differences. Tensions and job stress are prevalent in our contemporary society and can be found in a wide variety of jobs. People from different jobs have different kinds of fears or apprehensions that can factors of stress. For example, a bus driver will be stressed by the fear of upcoming close to have an accident that upsets him sometimes. Sometimes maybe he get a disgruntled passenger on there who starts a big argument, traffic mess, etc. Job experience. Because stress is associated with turnover, it would stand to reason that those employees with a long tenure are the most stressful resistance of the bunch. Social support. Co-workers, especially those who are caring or considering to be friends, can help protect a fellow employee against the effects of stress. Belief in locus of control. Those who have a high internal locus of control, those that believe they are in control of their own fate, are unsurprisingly not as affected by stress as those who feel they are not in control. Then self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is an individual's belief that he or she can complete a task. Research shows that employees who have strong levels of self-efficacy are more resistant to the effects of stress. Then hostility. Some employees carry around a high level of hostility as a part of their personality, and they are often suspicious and distressful for other co-workers. These personality traits make a person more susceptible to stress. Then the next category comes the environmental factors. The physical environment affects people in many ways: how they feel, what they think, and how they act. When the demands of the physical environment overweigh an individual's ability to deal with those demands, stress occurs. Environmental stress refers to a negative subjective psychological response to an environmental stimulus. It's important to note that an environmental stimulus that is stressful for one person in a particular situation may not be stressful for another or for the same person in a different situation. As such, environmental stress is an interaction between an individual and an external stimulus. Economic environment. Many of us from all over the world and from all walks of life have to deal with financial stress and uncertainty at this difficult time. Whether your problems stem from a loss of work, escalating debits, unexpected expenses, or a combination of factors, financial worry is one of the most common stressors in modern life. But there are ways to get through these tough economic times and ease stress and anxiety and regain control of your finances. Then the political environment. There may be political unrest or change that creating stress. One more thing is the technology. Technology can cause stress as new developments are constantly making employees' skills obsolete, and workers feel they will be replaced by a machine that can do the same. Employees are also often expected to stay connected to the workplace 24/7 because technology allows it. So dear students, we may conclude that Stress is a fact of life. Never in the history of mankind have people been more stressed and anxious than in this age of technology, information overload, professional and social complexities, and political pandemonium. And make no mistake, stress takes its toll, physically and emotionally. Prolonged stress can result in suppressed immune function, increased susceptibility to infections and immune-related diseases and cancer. Emotional stress can also result in hormonal imbalance, adrenal, pituitary, thyroid, etc., that further interfere with healthy immune functioning. Some people in stressful times tend to seek out others to be with, asking for help from others, using humor, learning to be assertive, and practicing problem solving and time management are some of the best steps one can take to understand the factors causing stress to a person and resolve the stressful situation. Dear students, I hope you understood the content well. You enjoyed this lesson. Thanks for watching.